So I got this comment on my YouTube channel from Rita asking me to please interview this YouTuber, Natalie, who's having mind-blowing results on her Etsy print-on-demand store. So I immediately went and found Natalie's channel. She had one YouTube video and a couple hundred subscribers, and that's it. So this is an all-new success story that I cannot wait to share with you. If you are new, just getting started with print-on-demand, or you've been doing it for a while and just need some motivation to keep going and some tips and tricks on what worked for her, then this one is going to be so ridiculously valuable because Natalie has sold $500,000 in her print-on-demand store in revenue since getting started in April of 2022. And 459,000 of that has actually been in 2023 between January and July. So absolutely explosive results. She's really figured out a great recipe for success. And in this interview, she shares all of her tips and tricks on what made the difference, how much hard work she had to do to put into it, and she'll even share what she's focusing on for the rest of the year to have a successful Q4. So let's go ahead and welcome Natalie. Hello, Natalie. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to share your story and your journey with print on demand. I think it's going to be so inspiring to so many people that watch this video.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on your channel.
Of course, so glad you could be here. So let's just go ahead and dive right in because I think everyone's going to be dying to know how you got to where you are now compared to where you started. So let's just start from the beginning because I know everyone's going to have a lot of questions for you down in the comments. So let's just try and answer them all here in the video. So my first question is, how did you get started selling on Etsy?
So basically in 2022, I was working for my dad again, and it was after college. I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And then at the job with him, I could listen to stuff all day long. And I was just kind of like looking for a way out. And I didn't want to have to like trade my time for money. And I actually came across digital products first. And at that same time, I also stumbled across print on demand. But for some reason, I just started with digital products. So yeah, this was spring of 2022. So yeah, I just started, I saw some of your videos, Cassie, and just other YouTubers. And that was like really motivating for me, seeing how successful people were being. So I just started, I started posting stuff.
So you started with digital products, and then when did you decide to make the switch over to print on demand then?
Yeah, so I started actually, I stumbled across digital products basically spring of 2022. So I think I posted my first digital product in, I want to say February of 2022. And then at that same time, I posted a few print on demand products, but I did get my first sale with a digital product it was like March 19th, and it was like a $5 sale. I was so excited about it. Just like the concept that I didn't have to like work again to make that product and I could just resell it over and over again. That was like so motivating to me. So since I started getting traction with the digital products at first, that's kind of what I like stuck with. So my first print on demand order was, I made a note of the date. It was April 12th, and it was for a group listing, and it was like 10 shirts or so.
Wow.
So it was like almost $250. And I was like, what? Like I was freaking out. It was just the craziest day because I was like, oh my gosh, this is possible. And it was a crazy first order. So I think since I got that order, that kind of made me want to like go further with the actual print on demand. And with group listings, you can sell like 10, 15, 20 shirts just from that listing. So you can kind of over time like make more money with it. So yeah, that's kind of how I initially started.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I have a really similar story where, I started doing the group listings and I was like, ooh, so we talk about group listings a lot here on my channel. That's really such a great way to grow your business. So you can have one customer buy from you instead of 10 customers buy from you, right? Yeah. That'll get you there so much faster. So then it sounds like from April to December, you did okay with sales, but then now all of a sudden in 2023, between January and July, you've sold way more. So why don't you talk us through, why did April through December not be as successful as this 6 months? What do you think you were doing then that you aren't doing now, or vice versa?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of just like a learning curve. As you probably know, like in the beginning, you're not going to really know what is and isn't going to sell. And I look back at the first listings I posted, and it's really funny because it's like, I can't believe I actually thought I was going to sell this. So I think it was just a learning process. And I think the more videos I watched, the more I like learned just by doing it and posting more items, and the more like research I did behind what I was posting, I think it just kind of took time. And also with that said, I did have like gradual growth every month, basically. So it's not like it wasn't doing well, but it just, yeah, I did have a dramatic increase in sales in January, which was very unexpected. So yeah, I think I really just started focusing on what was working in my shop and like multiplying that. And group listings were huge for me. And yeah, I didn't really have a set strategy. I was just not afraid to list items and see what happened with them, you know?
I think that makes perfect sense. So I guess let's look at that time then. So between April and December, you're in your learning phase. You're trying new things, you're posting a bunch of listings, just seeing what works, and then you slowly started gaining some traction. How much did you sell in 2022 then? Do you know what number that is, like in revenue?
Yeah, I don't have that exact number, but I do remember it was around like $56,000 in revenue. So it was still a decent amount. And yeah, every month I had increased my sales, and I was able to quit my job in August of 2022 because it was starting to replace that income. So that was also a really exciting time.
Yeah, no, that's super exciting. Being able to quit your job doing your side hustle is like the most scary and rewarding and fun thing. I waited like a year and a half. I probably could have quit sooner, but I was just so chicken. So good for you for just like hopping in and quitting your job. That's so, so cool. And so as you started to learn and grow towards the end of the year, how many listings do you think you did between April and December, if you had to guess?
So I was committed to it from the day I started. I think I would work on it every single day. So I don't have an exact number, but I definitely was focused on listing constantly each day. So I think from April to December, I had at least 1,000, I would say. And with that said, a lot of those listings weren't selling. It was just such a small percentage that were selling, but I think I was just putting so many things out there. So I had that many more opportunities to get sales. But yeah, I want to say it was around like 1,000 or 1,500 listings probably.
The thing that I see a lot of new sellers, they're like, hey, I put up like 35 amazing listings and I'm still not getting sales, that I think it's easy to get really discouraged in the beginning because that feels like a lot, because especially your first like 100 listings take so long. There's so much to learn.
Sure.
And I'm just really, really glad to hear that your story is really similar to mine. You know, people don't really understand sometimes how much work really does go into this. It's not just like a cute side hustle that you can like spend a few minutes on a day and make thousands of dollars. It's a job that you really have to take the time to learn and put in the effort. So that makes perfect sense to me, that where you are now is because you did so much research. They talk a lot on, you know, the internet about the Pareto Principle, where they say like 80% of what you make will never sell. It's 20% that's going to make you all of the money. And I found that to be super true. So you have to make all of the listings that will eventually be the manure that your good designs and good listings will grow from. That was one of my mentors always used that analogy, and I really love that one. And I think that's what I've seen in my store too, is you do all these listings and it's like a slow, steady growth. And then eventually all those listings start to compound and compound and compound. And if you take off, a couple more take off. And so then come January, you were super prepared. I know you said in your YouTube video and your channel that you heard a lot of people had really slow Januaries, but you didn't, because you did one really smart thing and prepared for Valentine's Day and had a huge Valentine's Day. So why don't you walk us through what that looked like getting ready for Valentine's Day? Did you have like a big goal of how many listings you were going to do? What type of research did you do? Because I think that's where it really started to explode your shop. So I'd love to dive a little bit more into how you prepared for this Valentine's Day.
So honestly, it's hard to look back on, because I feel like until it got super busy, I was kind of just listing new items all the time and just, you know, just experimenting with that. But I definitely think I was expecting to get busier around Christmas, and I didn't. So I think I realized, you know, I was probably too late to that. So I think I was like, well, Valentine's Day is the next holiday, so I'm going to really post in advance so I can have more opportunities to sell. And I think part of what made me stand out is I think I kind of developed my own like design style. I keep my designs very simple. A lot of them are just like text-based, but I think I had my own design style, and I I think I just got lucky with one design that was starting to sell for Valentine's Day. And then basically I took that and just multiplied it in a bunch of different niches. Yeah, it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly what it was, but I think just taking whatever is working well and then just really just diving deeper into that. And yeah, I was selling a lot of like teacher Valentine's Day stuff, nurse Valentine's Day stuff. And then there's so many different like sub niches within that. So I think that's what really helped me to have a busy month.
You know, right now, if you're watching when we release this in July, please be taking notes for anyone watching for applying this to Halloween. Don't go out and make happy Halloween shirts, make, you know, spooky nurse shirts, or, you know, there's 100 million different ways that you can cross niche and sub niche. But really, one of my main goals is to find a bunch of best-selling items that are not holiday related at all and turn them into holiday items. And it sounds like that's probably really similar to what you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think looking in other niches is a great thing to do and see what's selling well, and then putting that in your own niche or in a different niche and just really switching it up. Yeah, and I think I also just kind of over time developed my own style with what I like to design. So it's really easy for me to get listings out really quickly now because I kind of have my go-to few different, you know, design styles. So yeah, so I think that's also helped me. And it just took a lot of time and like trial and error and just seeing what was going to stick and what didn't. And then just kind of, multiplying and building out the niches more. So
yeah, it takes a while to get those templates, but once you have like 5 or 10 templates of designs, and what we're talking about there is like this font with these colors, maybe these types of graphics, and you use it over and over again for different holidays, different niches, different cross niches, but you already have an idea of what looks right. And so that's really what Natalie means when she's saying she takes what's working and she applies it to other things.
I did just get married in May. And so the whole past few months before the wedding, I was like just kind of posting whatever, but the main thing I was doing was whatever was working. I was like, okay, I'm just going to switch that up and then post it. And then I would also just post things that customers were asking me for and then just post them as a new listing. And that just helped increase my sales even more. So I think it's best to just go off of what's already working and then go from there.
Yeah, I love that advice. I think that is super, super valuable. But I think a lot of people watching this probably are watching this interview because they're not seeing the results that they want and they're feeling kind of demotivated. So in the beginning, when you were like doing okay, it was starting to pick up, but you weren't like making a ton, how did you motivate yourself to keep going?
Honestly, it was really hard because it is so much work in the beginning. And I do know it can be super, super hard for any new sellers starting from zero, especially with how competitive it's getting. But I think you really just want to do your research, do your trend research, and just find those niches that are very, very specific, especially as a new seller. And you want to just find the high competition or the high demand, low competition niches. And for any new seller, I just think don't try to be a perfectionist or like have all these listings before you launch your shop. I think just start, just do it and start like taking action, you know? You just really need that mindset piece to stick with it. And then I think watching videos like yours, that was always super helpful for me. So yeah, I think it can be really hard in the beginning. It is going to be a learning curve in the beginning because, unless you're like a graphic designer, most people don't really know what is going to sell and what like looks good or not. So yeah, you just have to stick with it and watch videos like yours or other people who have achieved success. And I think that's what really helped me.
No, that's super, super good advice. I know I accidentally did it that way. I found out what print on demand was. I got started the next day. I started learning and doing trial and error. But I do see a lot of people on the internet. They're like, I'm going to do all of the research first. They research for months and months and months.
I know. It's like, post it right now.
Yeah, that's the fastest way to learn for sure. It's just getting started.
Yeah.
So I guess to give some actionable advice to people that are newer, what do you think the most important thing to focus on in your business is to find success? Would you say it's like the research, the designs, the amount of listings you put up? Like, what would you say is really like your secret sauce of like what has made it all work for you?
Yeah, for me, I think I listed so much and I wasn't afraid to like fail or for my shop to look bad. I think that was the best way for me to learn what was and wasn't sticking. So I don't think it's about like a certain amount of listings, but I think by listing more products, you're gonna gain more knowledge. and you're going to get better at the process. So for one, I would say list as much as you can, but you also want there to be research behind what you're listing. And I would definitely suggest to really find those niches that are very specific. You know, nurse stuff, teacher stuff sells really well. So I would say really just niche down. Yeah, so really just get specific with it. You can use tools like eRank, Sales Samurai, Everbee. I've used all of them and they've all been really helpful, but I think you just need that mindset as a new seller too. I think if you're just determined to make it work and you just put the time in every day, eventually something is going to stick. And if you're just continuing to learn more and, you know, watch other people's experience and advice, I think you just do all those things, eventually it will start to work for you.
Everyone's on their own journey. So I know it's easy to my story or Natalie's story and ignore the hard part and all the work that you have to put in the beginning. So I think just being realistic about your expectations and that it's going to be really hard work. There's going to be days where you get no sales. It's going to feel like you're doing all of this for nothing, that it's not really a way to make money. Like that's all like our self-limiting beliefs and our worries and our anxiety getting to us. But if you can just push past that, you can really find something so beautiful, because here's Natalie, who just started in 2022 and has already quit her job, is doing this full time. Like that's just so motivating and magical in my opinion, because a lot of people say like my success story and they're like, well, you started in 2020, it's more oversaturated now. But people have been saying Etsy's oversaturated for 10 years, you know, but there's still so much room to grow. And so I'm so excited for you to be here and sharing your story. So then I've got another question for you. Because between January and July now, when we're recording this interview, I think it'll come out in August. Let's start with your numbers and share that. What have you sold so far in 2023?
So I did start spending money on ads. I think it was in February. Once I had designs that were really taking off, I did find that ads were working really well for me. So I've been running ads since then. And basically my total sales since January, this is before fees and ads are taken out, or the ad spend, is $459,000, 983. I just checked it before the video. So yeah, it's been crazy. This month of July is actually on track to being my busiest month yet. And every month it's just been blowing my mind. And yeah, it's just been wild.
So you started running ads in February. You were already decently successful. You're seeing sales. So you started running ads only on items that have already sold. Was that your strategy? Or did you also run ads on new stuff?
Yeah, so I had played around with ads and I never had success with them. And I never left them on long enough to see success. But once I really started to sell in January and February, I turned my ads on. And I don't remember exactly what I started with. I think I was doing like $100 to $200 a day. And it wasn't necessarily spending that much each day. That was just my ad budget. But I did turn them on for listings that were already selling initially. And then from there, once I would post new listings, I would just turn them on automatically. And I don't know when I switched it, but now I'm at $1,000 a day for my budget. And my numbers with ads are just crazy. Like the amount I spend compared to the sales from ads is just, it's so worth it to me to spend the money on ads. I feel like my listings get ranked that much quicker in Etsy. So when I do have the ads on them.
So if you had to say, I'm sure you're not spending like $1,000 a day on your ads. What do you think you're spending a day on average with running the $1,000 budget?
Yeah, so I'm spending, it varies each day, but I'm spending around $300 to $500 a day typically on ads. And yeah, it's just been, I did find that once I turned ads, it did take a little bit for me to start seeing results from my ad. So I think, because one mistake I made in the past was turning them off and on. So I think you really do, if you're gonna run ads, you really wanna give it a good amount of time to actually see if it's gonna work for your shop or not. And I think it is better to wait until you are a more experienced seller and you know what actually will and won't sell before you turn on your ads, because you can end up wasting some money in the beginning.
Yeah, no, that's super good advice. So takeaways are, don't be afraid to run ads once you start seeing some success with your items. And once you really get a handle on what's already selling for you, now you have a good idea that if you make a new listing, you're using the research of what worked in your past listings to your new listings. So you've got a good idea that those will probably sell too. So you put your new listings in ads to boost them and get them ranked so much faster, which is a great
yeah.
strategy. And at what point do you turn off ads, or do you just really leave ads on really for everything and give it a long time to see if it works?
I mean, obviously, I think it's good to analyze your listings, and if they're just not working or the ads aren't working for them or you're not selling the listing, at a certain point, you should turn it off. I just have so many listings at my shop currently that I'm like, I haven't really gone through everything and really analyzed it, since my overall numbers are still working really well. But yeah, obviously, I do think at a certain point, if it's probably just a listing that might not ever sell, if it's not gonna sell from an ad. So yeah, I think it's best to keep it on listings that are already doing well, or to turn ads on listings that are already selling for any like newer seller. So
yeah, that's super good advice. I appreciate you diving a little deeper into that. So let's do our last question. And that is, what are you going to be focusing on for the rest of the year to have a successful quarter 4 this year, since it seems like you missed that boat a little bit last year? So what are you doing this year differently to get prepared?
Yeah, absolutely. So for one, I'm just going to continue building upon what is currently already working really well for my shop. And I am in quite a few different niches, and that's been working really well for me. So I'm definitely going to start working more on Halloween designs, Christmas designs right now. And yeah, just continue building upon what's already working well and continue listing every day. So I haven't really had a successful quarter 4 yet. So, I mean, I was okay, but not the kind of success that you hear about like you probably had. And I'm just excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where you end up at the end of the year. I think you are going to have a crazy 2023. And I know everyone watching is going to be really excited to follow your journey. So I'll link Natalie's YouTube channel down in the description. So you guys can all go subscribe to her and watch her one video that she does have up, where she goes a little bit more even into detail into what that first, year selling on Etsy has looked like for her with print on demand anyways. And you can follow along her journey. So thank you so much for being here, Natalie. This was such a fun interview, and it was so nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you as well.